Brandy Ferrer is up front. So Brandy, if you want to unmute yourself and speak to the group.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good morning, everyone. I actually have a presentation I want to share with you guys, so let me just get that up really quickly. Okay, beautiful. So thank you guys for the opportunity to have this conversation. As we talk about reentry and recovery, there's some really interesting opportunities that are available in workforce labor and skills. And I want to talk with you about some of those today. So really quickly, Leanne did a really nice job with introduction, but I just want to share a little tiny bit about the work that we do at Pathfinder Strategies. Mostly we help our clients with matters regarding organizational culture. So we help them build workplaces where people like what they do and they get excited about coming to work and they have the opportunity to perform at their best. Since the pandemic has started, we've really focused a lot of our work on team alignment. So helping teams be productive and creative and collaborative, given the challenging circumstances that a lot of us are working in. We've also done a lot of work with our clients around leadership development. So leadership right now looks a little bit different than it did 8 or 9 weeks ago, and we're helping our clients navigate that for their companies as well as to support their workforces. So I want to share 3 different opportunities, and actually they're all kind of intertwined with regards to the workforce. So the first one I want to talk about is what are some of those workforce opportunities that are available now that maybe weren't readily available 8 or 9 weeks ago. And as part of that conversation, what are some things that we need to be thinking about from an employer perspective in terms of working from home? There's been a lot of conversation about that, so I want to give kind of a holistic picture. And then what are some things we can do regardless of what our professional role is? What are some things we can do as community members to support these businesses as they come back online? So the first point here, the workforce, I actually want to share with you guys an example of this. There was a retail operation that at the beginning of the pandemic, they recognized pretty quickly that they were going to have to do layoffs. So they ended up laying off about 15% of their workforce, and they tried to be as strategic and intentional about that as possible. So they used performance as one of their key decision-making factors in that process. And so they went through that, and that was probably about 6 weeks ago, 6-7 weeks ago that they did that. Well, now they're positioning themselves to reopen. In fact, they're slated to reopen in about 2 weeks. So they know they're going to have to hire. And before they started to travel down that road and think about hiring again, they looked around at their workforce and they said, man, we got some rock stars here. The people that have stayed with a company, these are our best and brightest. These are people who they're scrappy and they're adaptable, and they've leaned into the challenges that we faced. In a lot of cases, they're doing different types of work. They've learned, and they've really helped support the company through these crazy times. So man, we really want to support those people. So we want to make sure that their well-being is taken care of, right? We want to make sure they're okay, because it's stressful to be the remaining employee when others get laid off. We also want to make sure that as we're positioning ourselves to hire again, that we're building our teams around those individuals, right? They are going to be the anchors. And then we also want to leverage their awesomeness, right? So these guys bring some great ideas and experiences to the table. So leadership has invited them into the conversation about what should hiring look like? What does it look like as we open our doors? What are our guidelines? And they've been part of this conversation. They've been engaged this whole time. So the other thing that this company did, which was kind of cool, is they revamped their hiring process. So they didn't say, okay, well, we need bodies, so let's just rehire the people we laid off. They said, this is an opportunity for us to really integrate our values and our culture into our hiring process. And that's exactly what they're doing. And in addition to that, they're now able to take advantage of this expanded talent pool. So right now, unemployment's just over 14%, which of course is not ideal. It's not what any of us want to see. However, that does lend itself to more unique skills and talents that are out there and available to employers. So the other thing I think is important for us to be thinking about as people come back into the workplace is working from home, right? So we kind of did this huge social experiment where, you know, many of us ended up working from home, and we were able to keep free. Employers are thinking about, man, you know, do we want to keep people working from home? Does it make more sense for them to come back in? And a lot of that, of course, depends on the nature of the business, and it depends on what makes sense for customers. So, you know, there was a client of mine that was very, they had several brick and mortar locations or retail operation, and they ended up switching a bunch of their stuff to e-commerce. So their 90% of their business now is through online avenues. So they're having a conversation about, man, does it even make sense to have a huge office for people to come to? Can we decentralize this a little bit? Conversely, a friend of mine runs an insurance agency, and they've been very successfully working from home. However, they're already talking about their transition plan for coming back to the office. And they're doing that because that personal approach is one of their differentiating factors. So that ability to sit across a table with their clients, to walk through complicated documents and processes with their clients, that's something that sets them apart. And they want to continue to do that to support their brand and support their clients. So it really makes, you have to think about what customers, what makes sense for your clients and your business. You also have to think about what makes sense for the people who are doing the work, right? So I want to talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and the ugly of working from home. I know there's a lot of conversation around, oh, for the type of operation that you are in, it saves on overhead, there's no commuting, it's wonderful, right? And certainly the wisdom or the assumption when we first made this shift to working from home was it was going to be wonderful, and we're all going to be super productive, and we're going to love it, and we don't have to wear pants, and it's fantastic, right? Well, what we've discovered is, yes, people are more productive. In fact, on average, people are working about 3 hours more a day, right? And some of that is related to the fact that there's very little separation between our working lives and our personal lives now. We've got the laptop sitting on our dining room table or on our couch. So it's very easy to, you know, while we're binge watching Netflix, it's very easy to pop open that laptop and answer a couple of emails or see what's going on. There's also some additional sort of stress and pressure, and some of it's self-inflicted, but for companies that have gone through layoffs, the people that remain, there's oftentimes this sense of, okay, whew, I didn't get laid off, so now I better show my value, I better show my worth. And a lot of times that translates into more hours worked, right? It's driven from fear. And then finally, you know, even though we're having a lot of really great optimistic conversations, there's still the challenges that many of us are dealing with around balancing homeschooling. In fact, 3 minutes before this call, I just got off the phone with one of my kids' teachers. So we're balancing that, we're balancing care for family members, and all kinds of other things. So I make these points not to advocate one way or the other about working from home, but I encourage anyone in a leadership position as you're thinking about what your work from home strategy is going to be and the policies that will support that, make sure that you're thinking about well-being and you're thinking about the workers who are actually performing the stuff that has to be done. And then the final point that I want to make to you guys is about how all of us as community members can support local businesses and support our economies local. Certainly, you guys don't need me to tell you the importance of keeping your money local, shopping locally, eating locally, all of that good stuff. Something interesting that has come up in recent days that I think is really relevant is this idea of how are things going to look as companies reopen. So Costco has been in the news a fair amount recently because now they're not a small business, of course, but they put in place a guideline that said, not a guideline, a rule that said, hey, if you're coming into Costco as a customer, you have to wear a mask. And surprisingly, there was some pushback from customers on that. And Costco essentially said, look, if this is our stance, if you're not willing to follow it, then you don't get to shop here. Now, same situation on a much smaller scale. A friend of mine who runs a boutique, one of the things that they're struggling with right now is, their local government has pretty much left it up to the business owners to determine what guidelines they need to have in place for safety, right? Do they need to wear masks or gloves or stand 6 feet apart? The government has left that up to the individual businesses. And my friend said, look, we've got the gloves, we've got the masks, we're standing 6 feet apart, we've got one-way aisles. So they've put all those guidelines in place internally, and they've posted them outside their shop. Like, hey, when you come in, please wear a mask, please wear gloves. Well, a lot of their customers are choosing not to do that. And so this boutique is now in this position where they have to think about, like, man, how much do we want to enforce this? Is it worth people walking out of our door and not coming back? At what point do we say, hey, our employees' safety is paramount, more important than anything else? So I say all of this to say, when you're out shopping and you're at restaurants as things open, please honor the guidelines that the businesses have in place, even if they're more stringent than what the local government has established, for the safety, obviously, of yourself and for the safety and being of the people that are doing the work. So I know I kind of went through that really quickly. If you guys have any questions or want to chat more about workforce opportunities, I would love that opportunity. So at this point, I'm going to stop share, and Leanne, I'll turn it back over to you.
I think we'll go next to Karyann Boychuk. Karyann is with Alberta Labor and Immigration. I believe you're out of Bonnyville, and as a workforce consultant. And so she'll talk a little bit about what the government of Alberta has in place and some of the work that she's doing. So go ahead, Karyann.
How is that? Is that better?
That's better. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Leanne, and thanks to the EDA for the opportunity to take part in this panel. And thanks to all of you for joining us today over your lunch. So as mentioned, my name is Marian. I'm actually a workforce consultant with Alberta Labor and Immigration. I cover the northeast kind of region of the province, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, St. Paul, Lac-La-Biche area. Workforce consultants are pathfinders. We help employers and stakeholders connect with resources, programs, services within government and our communities. Quite often, workforce consultants are responsible for redirecting and filtering GOA inquiries and are seen as the face of government throughout the province. And we'll talk a little bit more about workforce consultants shortly. I wanted to start really with the alberta.ca website. So if everybody can see my screen, I am on just alberta.ca. It is our main website. It's constantly updated, and there's tons of information there for stakeholders, for individuals, general Albertans. Pretty much anything you're looking for from government can be found on this website. It's really our one-stop shop. It's really a fantastic resource. And if you notice right now at the top, you have this COVID link. So if you're looking for anything COVID related, you can just go to this page and click on that link. And many of our pages, as you'll see, have that highlight at the top. So anytime you're looking for that information, you can go to that page, alberta.ca, and click on that link, and you'll be able to be brought to that general COVID information for Albertans page. I'm just going to go back here. Our relaunch, as many of you know, began last week. And if you're looking for the relaunch information, back to the alberta.ca page, you learn more. And here's your strategy. So if you're looking for those strategy documents, they're fairly simple to find. You just go back to that alberta.ca page and here they all are. So if you do have the time, I really recommend, if you're able, to go back to that website and just check out some of the options for yourself and your business. There is a business and economy option, there's a jobs and employment option, and every link brings you to more links and more links. So it's quite a dynamic, and it's updated very regularly, that page. Next, I'd like to actually talk about our people resources. So back to the workforce consultants and our industry workforce partnership team. We do initiate, develop, and maintain meaningful relationships and partners with employers, employer organizations, community stakeholder groups. Our objective is really to encourage, support, and facilitate the attraction, development, and retention of Alberta's workforce. Located through the province are approximately 20 workforce consultants who connect employers with tools and resources, help them recruit, retain, and strengthen their workforce, and collaborate with employers and union organizations for workforce adjustment situations. So when there are layoffs, workforce consultants can help with attaching those employers to resources. We really adapt to the needs of our communities by collecting, interpreting, and disseminating labor market information, creating and maintaining those regional relationships. We promote and market GOA and Government of Canada programs and services such as the Job Grant and WorkShare. We really facilitate multi-level collaboration within ministries, municipalities, industries, associations, and employers, and provide support and opportunities through our workforce partnership grant programs. Many of us are supporting our economic recovery task force in our region in a variety of ways. And so if you're looking for information on how a workforce consultant can support you, I am going to provide a resource page with links to all of our contact information and a variety of other links that I'm going to talk about with you here today. We also have the industry workforce specialist team, and there's only 4 of them in the province. They work with larger provincial employers and the associations, and very similar work as the workforce consultants. They connect employers to tools and resources. They help recruit, retain, and adapt to workforces. And I will provide contact information for them as well. Some really specific programs that can support workforce development through the GOA are the Canada Alberta Job Grant. That's a training program where an employer applies on behalf of their employees for eligible training costs. Employers get to decide who the training and what type of training is needed for their employees. And unemployed trainees could be eligible for 100% training cost reimbursement. So there's some basic requirements for that program. It must be a minimum of 21 hours, but courses can be bundled, so it can be 3 individual courses that make up that time. It must result in a certificate or certification that's needed, and there's maximums for the employer. The Canada Alberta Job Grant. Back to just the maximums. There's maximums for every employer to apply, and it's a $10,000 maximum per year per employer for employed employees. So if you have a current employee that you want to send for training, you can access funding up to $10,000. It's a third, a third, a third. So the employer pays third, and then the governments pay the other 2/3 to that maximum of support. Again, I really would recommend you go to the Canada Alberta Job Grant site, which I will include on the resource page when I send that out. Workforce Partnerships is also our grant program that the IWPs and the workforce consultants utilize. And that program is about helping Albertans continue to enhance their skills and to contribute to Alberta's economic growth. The program assists employer groups, organizations, and industry sectors, even municipalities who have common labor market needs that may need some more supports. And there's a variety of different grant programs that can be utilized under that. And again, workforce consultant or your IWP or your best contact to discuss that further. There's opportunities for just different partnerships, such as, like we mentioned before, task force, partnering with chambers, community futures, economic development organizations, anything for workforce development related events such as job fairs, labor studies, workshops, those kinds of things. So there's lots of opportunity to work with your local workforce consultant and get things happening in your communities to support workforce development. We also have Labor and Immigration provides training for work programs. So that's programs for unemployed or marginally employed or transitioning Albertans. It includes those receiving EI and provincial income support. So I will include a link to the Employment Training and Services Directory, and people can access that resource directly from that document. One last website is our Alberta Biz Connect. This website was actually just created to support employers and organizations while getting back to work with the relaunch. There's a variety of workforce guidance and supports on here. If you can see down below, you've got a general guidance guide, some plans and templates to kind of go through if you're looking at relaunching and not quite sure what you need to put in place. There's a variety of different preventions. There's specific sectors information on here and different plans for different sectors. There's also access to information around PPE and our Alberta Bits and Pieces program. So if you're looking at opportunities to get involved with programming available through the government, there is the Alberta Purchasing Connection, and that is where all of the government procurement opportunities are posted. And if you're looking at providing services to government, that's where you would go to look at those opportunities. Just circling back here to our alberta.ca webpage with all of our different resources. As a reminder, this is your best bet. It's our one-stop shop, and it's the most updated resource that you can access for Alberta information. And that's all I really have.
Thank you, Karyann. And I'm sure, you know, once people get the links, they'll go on to these sites as well. So thank you for pointing those out.
Definitely.
We were going to go next to Jeanette Sutherland. Jeanette is actually with Calgary Economic Development, Workforce and Productivity. She also runs a program, I believe it's called Edge Up. So Jeanette, if you can speak about your programs and the work you're doing, that would be great.
Just had to unmute there. Thanks so much. I really appreciate this opportunity today, and I really appreciate your patience, Leanne, with me getting online here. There hasn't been too many problems with Zoom, but today there was a little bit more of a challenge. So thank you for everybody for the time today. It's been a very interesting time for us. I think that we're really facing a new challenge that we've never experienced before. As our board member has mentioned, which is this is a time where we're dealing with a mystery with no history. Every other challenge we've had in the past, usually there's been some history that we could learn from and adapt our new strategies on how to cope. But unfortunately, that's not the case with this one. So yeah, it's been a bit of a challenge for everybody, as I know everybody's working through and trying to look at how we can come out of this in a better light. So since COVID hit in Calgary in March, over 95,000 people are unemployed, without a job, and are actively looking for work. That's up. Since beginning of March, we've lost almost 28,000 individuals just based on COVID. We know those numbers are going to go up even more. People are working less now. Some of their jobs have been cut back. Alberta saw a decrease in hours worked by about 25%. And a disproportionate amount of that has impacted on vulnerable workers, employees with temporary jobs, and those earning less than 2/3 of the median hourly wage. So it's very difficult for Alberta, where we've dealt with challenges in the past, but it's just even getting greater. This really represents a time when a variety of businesses are also trying to adjust to how to operate online, how to develop e-commerce models, how to ensure sustainability, and how to not only survive, but potentially thrive in the future. So just in April alone, Calgary lost almost 43,000 jobs. So the unemployment rate has increased to 10.8% in April, which is the highest among Canada's largest cities. Probably one of our greatest sectors that have been impacted in the past couple of months, is similar to every other region, is the accommodation and food services, which saw the most significant losses in April. Our labor force shrank as well, but our population continues to grow. So it's adding a bit more impact to our region. Part-time employment fell, scientific and technical services were impacted. And what we're learning from COVID is we're really seeing accommodation and food services, wholesale and retail trade, information, culture, and recreation. All these sectors are being impacted dramatically by COVID. And these are the sectors that we're really going to have to watch for coming out of this, that are really going to need our support in job creation. April saw almost 3 times as many women drop out of the workforce compared to men. So we need to really keep an eye on those groups, women, youth, older workers, underrepresented groups that are most vulnerable at this time period. So we really need to focus on strategies to engage them and to better prepare them for the jobs of tomorrow. You take a look across Canada, almost 2 million jobs were lost in April alone. Unemployment grew by 56.3%. And so the resulting unemployment rate for Canada has reached up to 13%, something we have not seen. So one of the things that we have looked at is we've really focused on our economic strategy that we've had in place for the past 10 years called Calgary in the New Economy. Within that strategy, we've chosen 4 focus areas, essentially pillars, to form the basis of our work. As we work through the challenges of COVID and a post-COVID economy, we realize the foundation between the economic strategy will be even more relevant as we move forward. So we're maintaining this strategic framework. At Calgary Economic Development, we're taking a 3-phase approach to the COVID-19 crisis. Essentially, in the response phase, we're curating information and creating tools where we're connecting people to jobs in the marketplace, where we have a new site called Connecting YYC, and I'll send a lot of these links out after to follow up on the EDA notices that goes out. What that does, it links Calgary job seekers to immediate opportunities in our city, because I think that's the greatest challenge right now. Individuals aren't sure what companies are hiring and where there are new opportunities. A business in need of immediate talent can post their jobs, and for those that have been displaced by COVID-19 or looking to work, this is a great opportunity for them. In the rebuild phase, we collaborate with others on providing support of local companies. This includes providing training, reskilling, upskilling programs to better prepare the workforce for the jobs in the new digital economy. And then we will transition to the recovery phase. For some cities, that phase is quite new. For Calgary, we've been dealing with the recovery phase for at least the past 6 years from the oil and gas downturn. So we've got double challenge to come out of this. Now we're really looking at a lot of macro trends that are going to help us build our economy coming out. So when you take a look at it, some of the things that we really look at, we're focusing for workforce is retraining, retaining, and recruiting. Recruiting, that's an effort that we always will be continuing to attract intermediate senior tech talent in particular to Calgary. That's a big strategy we've got moving forward. But right now we know COVID has offered some challenges in this area. So our real significant focus right now is on retraining to support retaining our individuals in our workforce. So what that means is really creating that talent pipeline. What do we need moving forward? And when we take a look at post-COVID, we really need to take a look at which industries are going to need more support coming out. Where is the greatest opportunity for job growth and reinvestment of skills in our region? So we realize that one of the biggest things that we have to focus on is really creating a digitally literate workforce in Calgary. So when you take a look at it, what we need to do for that, and I'll come back to that, there's a forecasted $18.4 billion spend in digital transformation in Alberta by 2022. That's in 2 years. So we know that there's jobs and skill sets that we're lacking in these sectors that are impacting our ability to not only retain companies, but also to attract companies. So we're working very fast at trying to build our tech talent across Calgary and across Alberta. We need to focus on this. Technology is disrupting the nature of work in our province. So a key differentiator between companies that thrive versus those that are fighting to survive will often be those companies that have already embraced digital transformation and are better prepared to weather the storm. And that includes talent with digital knowledge and investment in digital systems. Research has been conducted that half of global IT spending will go into digital transformation initiatives by 2023, and almost 50% of global GDP will be driven by digitally transformed businesses. So when we talk about tech sector, we don't talk about it being its own sector. Tech transcends all sectors. So what we need to do is really focus on the skill sets that are required to move forward. We know more demand is coming. So ICTC predicts that the Information Communication Technologies Council predicts that by the end of 2021, Alberta will have 35,000 new jobs. Core digital employment will be 77,500 total. So they will be across all levels, junior, intermediate, and senior, but we know we need to work fast in preparing Albertans for the jobs of tomorrow. The loss of jobs and the downturn in the oil and gas sector in the COVID crisis impacted both entry levels and highly specialized workers. In Alberta, we've got a very dedicated technical workforce. However, many of the skills needed to meet the needs of the economy are more ICTC related. Developer skills, data analysis, IT project management, QA testing. Right now, workforce investment and skills mapping will help to identify certain occupations that are better fit for certain jobs than others. So we really, really need to focus on skills mapping. 2 years ago, we did a project with ICTC on how to map the skills of displaced oil and gas professionals with the jobs that are in demand in technology across all sectors. So we can help them pivot to the new opportunities, because there's not a bright light at the end of that tunnel. And so what we've done is we've come up with a project called Edge Up, Energy to Digital Growth Employment and Upskilling Opportunities. And the goal there is to help these individuals pivot to these new opportunities. We've worked in collaboration with University of Calgary, SAIT, Bow Valley College, ICTC, and a company called Ripen that provides work integrated learning. The goal here there's great opportunity for our workforce right now if we act fast in providing these reskilling, these training opportunities, these short-term duration opportunities that can get these individuals to become more digitally literate, to be better prepared for the jobs of tomorrow. We know our challenges are great. The highest rates of displacement coming out of our previous downturn was petroleum engineers, electrical engineers, chemical engineers, geoscientists. They've got highly specialized skill sets, but they've been having the hardest time re-engaging to these new opportunities. So that's why we created the Edge Up program. To give you an idea, we've just started our second cohort, but we're accepting 100 individuals, which it's full now, and we've actually had over 1,000 individuals, highly specialized professionals, anxious to get into the program, and we're only funded for 100. So we really need that support, and we really need that connection with all levels of government to help provide the training support to increase the digital literacy and to increase our digital talent pool. It's one of the greatest opportunities we have here. So just to give you some ideas to the demographics from our program, 62% of those who are participating have been displaced for 2 years or more from the oil and gas sector, some as many as 4 years. It's really focused on mid-career workers. 42% are geologists, and 46% have at least a master's or a PhD. So we're doing a huge disservice if we can't get these individuals re-engaged back into feeling very productive and a functional part of society. These are individuals that have invested a lot in our economy. So that's one of our first focuses. We're also looking at training programs right now to provide that base level digital skills training, awareness as to what are the basics to get into digital transformation. Am I better suited to be a developer? Am I better suited to do data analysis? Or am I better, at managing IT projects based on the skill sets I already have and based on my interest level? So there's really, again, that critical need for skills mapping as to where is somebody better aligned and will be a better fit for to walk into these new opportunities. Somebody had said to me the other day, which I completely understood this. They said, if I was thinking about if I was a Big Bang Theory type of person years ago, I would have gone into tech years ago. But now we have to redefine what tech is. Tech isn't just that one individual sitting behind a computer, a developer, or that somebody that's working on gaming. It's somebody who is maybe doing data analysis or soil testing through the use of drones, or autonomous systems in the oil industry, driving trucks to be more productive. So things have changed across all sectors, and it's taken a lot of our workforce time to embrace this. Some cities are ahead of us faster than we are. So we really need to work fast on creating more training programs to get people there. One of the things that we need for all the training programs is work integrated learning. So in Calgary, 100% of the post-secondary institutions are now embracing work integrated learning with the thought that if somebody develops skill sets where they've applied their skill sets to certain projects, chances are they've already made that connection with an employer and they'll probably get hired quicker. So it's really critical that we create collaboration between industry, government, and the workforce as to where are those new opportunities, how is industry going to participate in building the talent pipeline that we require for this new digital economy. Remote work is going to be a new factor coming out of this. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, you can see the statistics there as the estimated number of office workers who could do their jobs remotely. So people are going to be thinking about things differently now. So how do we help our workforce better? How do we better prepare them to maybe work remotely? How do we better prepare them with the tools, with the Zoom or Teams setups? How do we give them the basics maybe to help companies take their model to an e-commerce online model for product delivery across the world? So everything is going to come out of this differently. Companies are realizing that they don't have to go into the office anymore. So there could be potentially a drop in office vacancy, which in Calgary it's a concern with us. We've got 1 million square feet of vacant downtown office space that we need to get filled. However, for some companies, the social distancing is going to be a big factor. So they're going to need more space to set up the office. So there might be an equalization factor there for that. So another thing that we have developed in Calgary is called Live Tech, Love Life. It's a campaign that we know that there's been a perception challenge that Calgary may not have the strong tech industry that others are aware of. We've got so many problem solvers in Calgary, but I don't know if we've told the story well enough as to how it supports life sciences and agriculture and manufacturing and automation. So our goal there is to tell a bit more of the story and to complement it with sharing the quality of life here too. So we've got a campaign that's going to be launched moving forward as to just kind of a play on words of fintech and, you know, cloud computing. What does that mean? So quality of life is a big thing for people especially tech workers. So if we can demonstrate that there's opportunity here to put their skills to test and to be challenged, and that there's a number of tech companies in that ecosystem per sector, I think our opportunity to retain talent and to attract talent is going to be that much greater. So I'm open for any questions.
Great. Jeanette, we're going to actually have Marian present first and then see how much time we've got for questions. So
Perfect.
Thank you very much. I like that shot right there.
Yeah, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we all wish we were there right now.
Agreed.
So now, last but not least, Marian Gayed is with NorQuest College, and I think, Jeanette, you've set her up very well to talk about some of the work that they're doing at NorQuest College in Edmonton. So go ahead, Marian.
Thanks, Leanne, and special thanks to everyone for joining us today and for my fellow panelists. I agree, Jeanette, you set this up quite beautifully. Thanks, Jeanette, again, for laying sort of the economic landscape. What I'm hoping to do is just kind of walk you through a bit of a perspective, a macro perspective and a micro perspective of where education could be going, given the opportunities in the market right now. A little bit about my background at NorQuest. I am the Vice President of Business Development, and my role is to identify market opportunities and build growth strategies and solutions to address the needs of the market, industry, and individuals. I oversee continuing education, corporate training, and international student recruitment and contracts. And so what I wanted to sort of share with you a little bit is where I see the future becoming a reality a lot closer than we had anticipated. Technology advances and automation are definitely changing the way we live and the way we work. And what we call the fourth industrial revolution has now been expedited. And a lot of predictions prior to COVID said that 25% of Canadian jobs would be significantly disrupted by 2028. I think that is actually going to be happening a lot sooner than we expect, given the increased number of displaced workers due to COVID-19 and the increased number of vulnerable groups that now have no jobs to go back to. Many people assume that automation advances in AI will actually mean fewer jobs. I think the opportunity that we have now is these technological advances and new ways of working will actually create millions of new roles globally, potentially leading to a shortage of skilled workers by 2030 if we don't actually upskill and reskill our people to embrace technology. Organizations will be looking and assessing how their employees are creating value in their role. This traditional model of, I know you're productive if you're sitting at your desk from 9 to 5 will cease to exist. And I think productivity levels will shift and the relationship between employees and employers will actually shift. You will see sort of a rise of specialized assignments and the gig economy becoming more of a reality. And a work in a gig economy requires a very different skill set. And so that's something that we need to prepare for. I do believe also that workplaces will look different now and businesses will need to do things differently. How we use space, what business tools we embrace, the workforce and the workplace policies, the audits, the financial risks, the customer experience, how business processes will now need to kind of create value to the customers and to do things more efficiently and effectively. Doing more with less resources, I think, is going to be a reality in all of our organizations, whether you're a municipality, an institute, a province, or a country. But more importantly, I think, which is something we don't talk about a lot, is the value that a corporate culture and a shared purpose in organizations will actually help us thrive in a post-COVID environment, and that how that will actually be a driver for change and a driver for growth in organizations. In terms of where we see skill sets happening for the future, I think the workforce needs to build skills that will allow you to work with and alongside new technology. So this idea of the human-machine interaction will look very different in the future. Technical skills related to data analytics Artificial intelligence, global supply chain logistics will be crucial in moving forward with the changing economies. But more importantly, I think soft skills like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, innovation, collaboration, adaptability will be critical for future success as well. And these are the skills that will actually help employees to adapt and thrive in their workplace. This also means that we're going to shift to a focus on lifelong learning. The days of completing all your education by 25 and not taking any future courses or training are ending. And the idea that we'll be in the same career for our lifetime is also shifting. You'll see a lot of people transitioning between different sectors and re-leveraging skill sets they've developed. And so there's lots of opportunity there. I'll talk a little bit about NorQuest, which is sort of where I see a big opportunity in the post-secondary sector. NorQuest College is a partner right now in the Economic Recovery Task Force that's been created with 11 comprehensive community colleges in Alberta, along with a number of representatives from the economic development and Chamber of Commerce world. COVID has posed quite a few challenges for the post-secondary sector globally, but here in Alberta, we've been disrupted in different ways. The model of education definitely needs to be disrupted to provide learners with the skills and knowledge they need in the future. As you know, our recent government has imposed a very changing funding model for post-secondary, and it has forced all of us to rethink how we best deliver an optimal learning experience by being nimble, flexible, innovative. And I think this was really much needed. The education model is 100 years old, and I think there is definitely room for improvement and efficiency. At NorQuest, it was interesting. We got told within one business day that we need to shut our doors. So we had to take 1,000 staff to work from home, 20,000 learners to study online, and over 25 support services done virtually, and do it in less than 7 business days. And that was a bit of an undertaking, I have to say, while keeping sort of learner safety, well-being, success at the center of all of it. It wasn't easy, but it was certainly exciting to see that whatever barriers we thought were system barriers before to make change happen were actually mindset barriers. So as an organization, our ability to pivot very quickly was really nice to see, and it was necessary for us to do. It wasn't without its hiccups, and it's amazing the things that you learn. Like, your students don't have laptops and desktops at home. They actually need to come into your institution to access that. So we had to order laptops and pass them out to students, knowing that we probably won't get them back. But that was part of what we needed to actually do to help support our students go online. Things like some of our instructors saying that it's really great that I could teach online, I'm so excited for it. And then you see some other instructors saying, wait a minute, I can't use a Blackboard? What does that mean? You're gonna put me online? So it was really interesting to see the changes that happened. NorQuest has always kind of been nimble, and turning on a dime to meet industry demands and remaining workforce relevant was always something that we embraced. And what this situation has allowed us to do is to be responsive and proactive in preparing for any future disruptions which may occur. And we will continue to adapt and overcome these challenges when we come back online with the direction of the public health officials. I think the opportunity that we have as a post-secondary institution is to sort of enhance and forge stronger ties with industry and employers. We do have a workforce advisory council that gives us a lot of advice, and they represent about 6 major industries here in the province. And they let us know what works for them and what doesn't, and it helps us sort of shape what programs we need to offer, what kind of work integrated learning opportunities do we have, what does prior learning assessment look like for their people. And we actually have advisory committees for each program that we have, which provides us sort of a direct link to the job creators and insights into relevant education training. These connections have also told us that in the future, we are needing to expand STEM programming, so it's science, technology, engineering, and math programs, and incorporate AI, data analytics, and other future-focused training on soft skills. And to do that in a very nimble and delivery models. So this idea that everything 100% face-to-face is not going to work into the future. So some of the things that we've done is we've identified some really cool alternative credentialing models. So NorQuest is going to be focusing on launching a number of badged micro-credentials as a way to provide learners a bite-sized, industry-relevant education training that's easily verifiable online. And for those who don't know, a micro-credential is a certification of assessed learning that is additional, alternate, complementary to, or a formal component of a formal qualification. And through a number of our continuing education, customized corporate training solutions, we are able to offer sort of hybrid delivery models to upskill and reskill the existing workforce and train to employment in the new and growing industries. And so we take a sector-wide approach to how we solve the training needs and ensure high engagement for employers in all programs developed. And Karyann early on talked about the Canada-Alberta Job Grant, and I know a number of clients have actually leveraged that quite heavily in doing training with us, because through a post-secondary institution, of course, you are giving a certified training. And so they're able to get 2/3 of the cost covered, and then they're only paying about 1/3 or so. I would be remiss if I don't mention that a huge part of the NorQuest DNA is diversity and inclusion and equity at the college. And we've done a tremendous amount of work in indigenizing our curriculum, internationalizing our campus, and being thought leaders in ensuring that we cater to people from all walks of life. And so that's really important for us. And we have developed what we call skills of distinction. And those skills of distinction, we've integrated in all of our curriculum. Those are resilience, inclusion, new ways of thinking, and digital literacy. And we've done a lot of work in taking our most popular programs and in-demand programs online. That has helped quite a bit in transitioning our Whitecourt and Drayton Valley campuses to now be fully online as of this summer. And I think that will help support some of the rural communities that we serve as part of our regional stewardship to get access to programming that they wouldn't otherwise have. And so, and it's not feasible for us to have a bricks and mortar sort of campus in all the different communities. So having the ability to give people a chance to do things online will be very important for us. And over the past 3 months, we've done some really cool programming and offers that we've done to offered to about 50 different organizations and hundreds of learners, where we trained people on project management, process improvement, change management, all of that. And these were funded seats through donor money. And so this is an alternate way in which post-secondaries have helped some of the current workers sort of pivot and support their organizations as they transition and as they look for new ways of doing business. I think overall, how we train our workforce will change in the post-secondary sector. It will be, I think, a few new experiments and opportunities to see what works and what doesn't. But the one thing that we know for sure is that post-secondary institutions will play a very strong role in the recovery process and really upskilling and reskilling people to a place where they can be a high value employees in the organizations that they're part of. So I'll pause there and pass it over to you. Leanne, thanks.
Thank you very much, Marian. And I love the stuff you're doing on this bite-sized micro-credentialing. I think that's kind of cool. So I know we don't have a ton of time. Nancy, is there any questions?
Yeah, we have one, and I think this might actually be directed toward Jeanette. So Jeanette, if you could give us the Reader's Digest answer, that would be great. What are the contributing factors for the statistic that shows that women are dropping out of Calgary's workforce at 3 times the rate of men?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily by choice that they're dropping out. It's by the nature of some of the jobs that they're employed in. So we're really finding that a lot of those jobs could be administrative. It could be some of the jobs where they might also be doing working from home, or could be individuals who are in the hairdressing occupation or restaurants. Not to say all women are in those occupations, but a high majority of those type of occupations have been impacted by COVID. So we're hoping that as the business recovery starts to kick into play, many of those will be back engaged into the workforce again.
That's great. Thanks, Jeanette. So Brandy, Marian, Jeanette, Karyann, anything, last comments if As the others talked, you wanted to mention something, or we're good?
Yeah, what I would say is just, we're looking at, we have to be nimble, we have to be agile, and we have to be prepared to take chances. Something may not work, but we need to stay on top of what workforce strategies that can help move us forward, because it's going to be a new normal for us. And we can continue to look at it as challenge, and Alberta has been downtrodden for the past number of years dealing with oil and gas challenges, et cetera, or we can look at this as an opportunity. And when people are at home, especially right now, this is a great opportunity for them to invest in training and upskilling so that they're better prepared at every level. So I just think there's opportunity that we could look at coming out of this.
We do have a couple of questions that have come in last minute here, but I'll tell you what, I know that Leanne, we have run out of time. The contact information of our speakers will be on our website, so feel free to reach out and chat with them directly.
Yeah, and we'll also be providing any slides that the speakers want to share, and you'll get an email tomorrow. It's usually a day after, with the link to the video if you want to look at it again. And the other thing is, our webinar next week is specifically on Alberta's energy future. So you can register now if you want to attend that free webinar as well. And just before we go, thanks again, Brandy, Karyann, Jeanette, and Marian, for giving us, I love the fact that you've given us some good ideas for the future and some positive things we can take advantage of. So thank you for the work you're doing. And it's going to take all of us to figure out how to get through this. So thanks again for taking the time, and thanks to each of you for phoning in and participating. So see you all next week. Have a great week.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.